Welcome and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Evidently You're Unaware. I am your host, Andrea, also known as the Successful Diva. Evidently You're Unaware is a platform dedicated to shining light upon a variety of issues, topics, circumstances, and people who influence our lives. The content being delivered is designed not only to have discussion, but to bring relevant, thought-provoking, meaningful conversations about matters that matter most. I want these issues right in your central vision. So let's get smarter. Community redevelopment. It is no easy task. For context, the activities and programs offered within a community redevelopment area are administered by a community redevelopment agency. Typically, there's a 5 to 7 member CRA board created by the local government, whether it be city or county, which directs the agency. There is typically a lengthy process for planning and strategic matters that must go forth before there's ever any financing, reconstruction, or rehabilitation that is to occur within the defined project area. Well, in 2019, the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition, lovingly known as the CULC, prepared a proposal to establish a community redevelopment area, also known as CRA, to address the needs in the North Greenwood neighborhood. Through 4 years of long days, long nights, many meetings, cultivating the idea, preparing, being persistent, dedicated. I can go on, but I know there was much prayer behind this project. The CULC, alongside many residents within the city of Clearwater, were granted and they gained final approval of the new North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area on May 23rd, 2023 from the Pinellas County Board of Commissioners. Now, the CRA has faced and will now have an opportunity to go up against some legislation. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Florida House Bill 991 and its companion Senate Bill 1242 threaten the hard work that has been completed, funds granted, and future community development through the North Greenwood CRA and other CRAs in Florida. If passed, this bill, amongst other things, could revise the structure of community redevelopment agencies, prohibit community redevelopment from paying or financing by increment revenues certain projects, and or revise the date on which community redevelopment agencies must terminate. Well, fortunately, I have 2 special guests with me here today from the CULC who have been instrumental in helping bringing the North Greenwood CRA across the finish line. Their community activism and undeniable commitment are an ongoing work as they continue to restore vibrancy and equity to the North Greenwood community of Clearwater, Florida. Please help me welcome Gloria Campbell, the Executive Director of the CULC, and Marilyn Turman, the Director of Communications for the CULC. Ladies, welcome to Evidently You're Unaware.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
Glad that you're here. Well, listen, there is no 2 individuals I knew better to call upon who saw this from its infancy to where it is now. And more importantly, as we follow things that are happening in our legislatures, it's important to have the community be aware of just not only what they have access to, but also what may need to be done so that we ensure that people are aware that there is something on the table that is posing a threat. And so that's what topic to do today. So without further ado, Gloria, I will open up, and you guys, you ladies know, you toggle back and forth as we need fit. But let's talk about the North Greenwood CRA. Just kind of what is it? What it benefits? The area. I know we're going to go into that as well.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Yes. So the North Greenwood CRA is a CRA that was created with the express purpose of reducing poverty. So the North Greenwood area, there were 7 high poverty areas that through a study that the county did that came into a part of this. And believe it or not, the North Greenwood CRA had the highest concentration of poverty than any of the other 7 areas. The Southside CRA was the first to get a CRA for the express purpose of reducing poverty. And both, believe it or not, both Marilyn and I both worked in the community as part of that group as well. And so it really provided kind of a foundation for what we wanted to do in Clearwater. Part of that was we were able to see what worked there and what didn't, and what we wanted to improve on in our CRA. And so that's what you'll see a lot of what we did. One of the basic differences, and this was the first, and I do like to point this out because I think it speaks to something you said earlier, Andrea, the hard work that's gone into this. Mm-hmm. Most CRA designations are received by the county or through the county by the city when the city recognizes the need, and they will actually put together and pay for funding to create the CRA plan, to do the finding of necessity, those things. The North Greenwood CRA, when we actually got our designation on May 23rd of 2023, the county representative mentioned, we are the only CRA that was that came out of a grassroots effort. So what does that mean? That means that we decided we wanted to do a CRA. We did all the community outreach. We actually wrote the CRA plan. We got the first, went before city council, which was the first step in Clearwater to get their approval. And then we went to the county to get their approval. And then it was at that time that the city said, okay, looks like you guys are going to do it. So I guess we're going to have to give you some money to do it. So to complete it. So that was at that point that the city came through, and they've been great partners. I do want to mention that. Bill Hohen was the city manager at the time and absolutely believed in the vision. And not only that, believed in the people that were behind this effort in the organization. Mm-hmm. So we're extremely proud of the work we've done. We've worked hard. We want to make sure that the Greenwood community receives the full benefit of the investments. And that is really our goal, is that as we have been able to pull resources together and we've been able to do things, we want to bring the community along. This is not an effort for Gloria Campbell or Marilyn Turman or any of the core members of the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition. Believe it or not, Andrea, most of us don't even live in the CRA designated area and can benefit not one dime from anything that's going on. Not right. But I believe as a servant, and we are servant leaders, as the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. And so we're simply taking what we've been given, the resources, the talents, the knowledge, and we're bringing it back to our community. I also will point out that you'll see on our emblem here, you see the Sankofa bird. And that really is what the Sankofa bird is about, going back, picking up that which was lost and bringing it forward. So a lot of symbolism there. So I'll be quiet and I'll let you move on.
That's okay. I love it. And thank you for sharing the meaning behind your organization's logo, because I know, like me, maybe at the onset, didn't know if you're not a part of the creation and kind of the mission behind why a logo says what it needs to say, you just don't know. So I think that's important. Thank you for sharing that, Gloria. Marilyn, let's talk about the CRA, its boundaries, just some of those things that ultimately went into that designing phase and then ended up being a designated area. And I'm going to share a little bit on the screen so that our viewers can see, just what that boundary looks like for the North Greenwood CRA.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrea. Yes, when we, most people think when we say the North Greenwood CRA, they assume that it is a street, right? And these boundaries encompass an area. I can't give you the actual dimensions, but for those who are in Clearwater, will more than likely be familiar with Sunset Point, Kings Highway, Palmetto Street, uh, Kings Highway, Palmetto, going west all the way to Fort Harrison, and then back north up to Sunset Point, back to Kings Highway with some deviations. And as you can see on this map that you are displaying here, all of the homes in this area, other than those that are in red, are a part of the North Greenwood CRA. I know, I'm not sure if Ms. Lurie will talk more about what that means as a property owner. If you own a home and you pay property taxes, those dollars that go that are paid into to the tax collector, if you are in these boundaries, that goes into a separate trust after you get that designation, and those dollars can only be used within these boundaries. Those areas that are in red there are considered the unincorporated Pinellas County. So they may have a Clearwater address, but they are not necessarily the city of Clearwater. So they have different, in other words, like even with some of the grants and some of the services that will come out of the North Greenwood CRA, they would not be eligible for those services if they are in unincorporated area. However, there are some things available through the county that they may be eligible for. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on about the grants that are available. But
yeah,
yes, that's those
good
boundaries.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I do want to add that we started this when Ms. Gloria was talking about this grassroots effort. We did this during COVID. I want to mention that was big. It was during COVID. We were out there doing that outreach. We were doing it safely, but we did make sure that we were very diligent in making certain that all of our community organizations and individuals, all of our stakeholders knew what we were doing, why we were doing it, what a CRA was, how it would benefit us. And so, so
awesome. Well, let's talk. Go ahead. You have one more thing, Gloria? Sure.
I wanted to kind of clarify a little bit about the tax incremental funding.
Okay.
So Marilyn mentioned that if we look at the designated areas here, if you're a homeowner, then that becomes the tax basis. But it is only the incremental funding that we get a percentage of. So, for instance, if the year before, in 2022, for instance, your taxes were $1,000, and then this year they are $1,100. The incremental increase is $100, and so that is what goes into the CRA trust. And with the city, we get 95% of whatever their dollars were, and 95% of whatever the county's percentage of that $100 was. And so I want to say that because I don't want people to think that we're raising anybody's taxes. This is what would normally happen. It doesn't raise your taxes at all. It's just that we benefit from incremental tax increases, and we're able to use those dollars for some of the resources we need to build a better community.
Yeah. That's good to share because there's so much in the land and era, ERA, of disinformation that we have out in the world in so many different areas, knowing that we are not what people will say we're paying for, the CRA. We don't want that to be one of those bad bits of information that's out there. And so for clarity, now we know this is what would have normally happened anyway, and the percentage comes into the trust. So I love it.
Yes.
Marilyn, you alluded, we're going to talk about the types of grants. What is available? So that's the next piece, and just how do residents, business owners, et cetera, how do you tap into what's available if you're in this area or your business is in this area to access the funds that are available? What's available and how to access those funds?
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about the grants that are available through the North Greenwood CRA, but I also want to make mention briefly that we also as a means of jumpstarting the CRA, the coalition advocated for dollars from the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act that came out of the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to have $5 million allocated to North Greenwood. And there's a number of amazing things that were done with that. We were able to do grants in the community. I'm going to let Ms. Gloria talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. If you can talk about those grants and some of the things that we did, because there was a lot of great things. And then, if you don't mind, I'm going to come back and talk about grants that are available now through the CRA. So, Ms. Gloria, if you don't mind doing that, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, primarily we asked for, and again, this was an ask because that money would not have come into the North Greenwood area if it had not been for the coalition asking for those dollars to be set aside to jumpstart the CRA. Because just with tax incremental funding, you're not going to get a lot of money for the first 5-10 years of the project, because you're only working on incremental funding. So we asked for $5 million, and we asked for 2.5, and they gave us 5. So and thanks John Jennings, we're so excited about that. But what we were able to do is we were able to take a look at what some of those areas that we had identified through our plan that the community said were important to them. Those things that could help elevate and move the needle. And so we actually had a competitive process where we put those out for the community, people in the community. There were not a lot of restrictions in terms of, we were not about excluding people. We were about including as many community organizations and individuals as we could. And so we had things like mental health, we had counseling, we had gardening, we had financial literacy, holistic health. We had, I think, Andrea, one of your programs, the Young Authors Program was a part of that grant. And then we gave what we call some mini grants to small businesses, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. Again, wanting to make sure that these dollars reach deep into the community, that not just a few big legacy organizations receive the money and then trickle down. We wanted to put the money right where we know it could do good work. And then the other thing that is probably the most exciting part of what we're doing right now is that we asked for $500,000 for economic development and for development of our 1105 Grove project, which is a container mini mall right on the corner of Carlson and MLK. And we will see that project come to fruition. 10 to 15 small businesses, community businesses that will hire from the community, train young people, get those who want to become entrepreneurs, all the skills that they need, and provide a resource for the community. So extremely excited. Feel that
is exciting.
Yes, that is, we did a lot of research and talked to people throughout the country. And what we discovered is that there's always one project that becomes a catalyst for redevelopment and disadvantaged areas. And this will be our catalytic project, 1105 at the Grove. So
1105 at, y'all mark it down, 1105 at the Grove.
Yes. And again, a lot of symbolism. The name, the Grove, was chosen because the area that we are in used to be called the Grove. The
Grove,
because there was orange. If you look at a lot of the streets are named after citrus, tangerine, and orange and Lime Street, all of those, because it used to be an orange grove, a citrus grove, I should say.
Absolutely.
History is so important. I tell you, I love it.
Yes.
Well, Marilyn, tell us what's now, and then we'll dive into the bill, HB 991, and just mainly what I'd love for viewers to understand is just what do those pieces of legislation do to threaten the work of the CRA if and should it moves forward. But go ahead, Marilyn, tell us what's happening now.
Well, what's available now, there are two that are specifically designed for the North Greenwood CRA. One is a commercial grant and one is a residential grant, residential exterior improvement grant. There was, I want to say $800,000 was put in for commercial grant improvements. and the I want to say maybe 400,000. Forgive me, I may not be exactly, but somewhere in that area for the residential improvement. So one of the things, affordable housing, one of our key initiatives is keeping people in their homes. And a lot of times people living in their homes can't afford the repairs. A lot of times they can't get insurance because they can't pass a 4-point inspection. So one of the things we wanted to make certain is that we were providing resources for people to get their roofs repaired, their air conditions, and the list goes on. And I will tell you right now, those grants they're going really fast. And I think they have even a waiting list right now on that particular grant. So if you're interested, I'm going to tell you where to go momentarily.
Okay.
The commercial grant is a grant for businesses that are within those boundaries. And again, you cannot be in the unincorporated area. You must be in the city of Clearwater in that boundary in the map you showed earlier. And I want to specifically talk about one business right now, Big Jim's Barbecue, one of the legacy businesses. 44 years they've been in this community. And we are elated that we now have an opportunity to bless them with an opportunity to renovate and bring to this community. They served this community for 44 years, and now they're going to be able to access funding through this grant to renovate, in addition to some other resources that we're going to have. We're going to have a great grand reopening once, and that work is underway as we speak right now. So
okay.
Looking for that. We are going to have a ribbon cutting for the grand reopening. So where they go to the website for the city of Clearwater, it's myclearwater.com. And when they go there, they're going to key in the North Greenwood CRA. And it will show the 2 different grants that are available. There's also going to be, and this is very important, the little box that says, check my address. Am I eligible? And that is going to tell you, first of all, if your address does qualify for any of these resources. And then you can proceed from there as far as, what if you want to apply for the residential or the commercial. And one other component, let me go back to the grants, is that with Big Jim's Barbecue, because they have 44 years legacy business in the community, they don't have to do any volunteer services to kind of match that. There's a small portion that they have to give back if they get the grant. It's very small, but for those who don't have that tenure, they are able to provide community service with the coalition, HEP, some of the other nonprofit organizations. But to think that I can get my roof done and get my homework done, true blessing. True blessing. And we want to tell people, please take advantage of these grants, please. And so anyway, so that's it. And I'm going to stop there because I know we got a lot more to cover. So
yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's important that those who are wanting to not only grow, but certainly to remain and having their footprint in this city, and it's particularly, obviously, the North Greenwood community, that they check into it and look into it. I think sometimes, Marilyn, I know we've had this conversation, Gloria, too. Oftentimes we fail to come to the table.
Right.
And that's what this CRA has basically opened up the door and placed some chairs at the table. And you have to come and claim your seat if you want to be a part of what will end up being a very vibrant, as I mentioned in the onset, and a very, very warm and welcoming part of the city of Clearwater.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So real quick, we got a few more minutes. Let's dive in. Let's talk about these 2 bills. There's a few things. And for those who, don't understand all the different legislative components, usually bills have multiple things coming into it. Like, legislators sometimes just can't say, let's vote on this one issue. They're going to vote on the bill, but the bill has all these other subcomponents.
That's right.
Within this 991 and companion 1242, there are other things. There's insurance issues in there. There's some things about CPAs, but in particular, the CRAs are under fire. And so what do you feel, in your opinion, of these bills and what you know of them? how do they pose a threat to the NGCRA?
Good point. And I will tell you that, as you mentioned, bills morph. And so the original bill that came out of the House, a representative from down south presented this bill, and it was it would have eliminated CRAs, because it basically said that CRAs would have to be done by October of this year, 2025.
Yep.
You could not spend any more money. We were going to just get rid of CRAs. Now you can imagine our heart burn.
Oh yeah.
Having spent 5 years getting a CRA, had 1 year of TIF dollars, and now they're going to eliminate it. But so this was how it started out. And as with so many things that happened, one CRA was misappropriating funds, and so now we're just going to make everybody pay. Well, through negotiations, and I've been tracking this bill, we are now, I mean, before it was CRA departments were going to be shut down. No staff, you couldn't pay staff. You couldn't, the agencies were going to be gone, and it had to be shut down by October the 1st. And you couldn't spend any more, allocate spending any more money. So all of that now is out of the bill. So at this point, you can pay for staff. You don't have to sunset the CRA until the date that it would have sunset. And most CRAs sunset at either 20, 25, or 30 years. And they're done. They feel like that by that point, everybody's benefited from it. So the current thing I did, take a look, because I'm tracking the bill, so they'll send me updates. Yep. So the last rules that are in place as substitutes is that new community development agencies will use a governance structure where their local government sits on their board, which we already do. So that's not really a big deal. Agencies will not be able to amend or expand their jurisdiction. That was another thing that CRAs were doing. There was creep. So if I got this particular project I want done and it's adjacent to the CRA, we'll just annex the CRA and we'll use TIF dollars to do it. So that doesn't happen. Whatever the boundaries are now, they can't be changed. You can't use it for hotels, sponsorships, concerts, festivals, holiday events, or parades. Again, those were things that CRA dollars were being used for, and now they are prohibited. They must terminate at the point of their sunset. So there were, for instance, if you had a 20-year CRA designation, you could get an extension, and you may go another 5 or maybe even 10 years. Right. According to this, the new, if this passes, you would not be able to do that. Whenever it sunsets, that's it. But those were some of the additional things that have been added. We're a long way from, and then it says the committee substituted or deleted statutory provisions related to board, commission, and governance structures and that kind of thing. So a lot of things changed for the better. It is still one of those things that bears watching. We had a very active campaign about 2 weeks ago where we were asking people to send letters, and I still would encourage that to their senators, their representatives. Call if you don't want to send letter, text. But let them know how important, especially if you are in the North Greenwood area or the Clearwater area, because as a Clearwater resident, we all do better when we all do better. And so because we spend a lot of resources as the county and as Clearwater in the area, that your tax dollars could be used for something else that you wouldn't have to use for safety, for health issues, and for transportation issues. When we fix that in the North Greenwood area, your tax dollars can now go into parks and libraries and things and boat ramps, things that you want. So it is beneficial to all of us. And so we are still encouraging people, make your voice heard, call, text, write your letter. You see your representative in the grocery store, go up and talk to them, let them know that CRAs, especially the North Greenwood with CRA is important, and we want it to remain, and we don't want it to go away.
Right. And we are now witnessing really across this country what people movement and people voices activism really looks like.
Yeah.
And I pray, and I do hope, not just pray, I hope, pray all the time that when we are making these steps to let our voices be known, whether that's on a street corner, at a rally, on the phone with our representative, that we continue to do that. We cannot let our foot off the pedal, because something else will slip right in, and all of a sudden, we're in another, speed, hurry up, let's call, that kind of thing. So we've got to be alert and be diligent, and just be aware, so that they know that as we elect individuals to the offices of, whether it's a local office, state office, or federal office, that we expect them to work on behalf of the people
Absolutely
who sent them there. And the CRA and doing those things is simply a way to ensure that their constituents are thriving in the areas that they live in.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And CRA, this is a heavy lift for anyone, the county, the citizens, the organizations like CULC, and should not be taken lightly. And it wasn't when we did it. I will tell you, you mentioned the countless number of hours, where we worked around the clock to get things done, to put the plan together, to do the outreach. We could not be paid for all the work and time and effort that we have put in. But we do it for the love of our community, and because we know that we can make a difference. We know that if we are going to fix our community, we have to fix it.
Right.
We are
and say, look, we tried it your way, where you throw a bunch of money in and bring a bunch of outside people in, and when the money leaves, our community is the same. So let us try it. Let's work on it from the inside out. Just like with our health, the best way to fix your high blood pressure and hypertension, inside out. And it's the same thing with our community.
Absolutely. And what's that song we used to sing, Andrea? Be not weary in well doing.
Right. In due season.
And that is the thing, we hold to that we shall reap, not we may. Whatever the intention of this assignment is, we shall reap. And so we're holding to that.
Awesome. Yes. Awesome. Well, Gloria, Marilyn, I appreciate you. I know the viewers do as well. This information is always necessary, simply because it's in our backyard. This is not something happening in Washington, D.C. or, in somebody else's state. And, this is us. And I'm grateful. So I am simply going to already ask for the right, as we continue to track these bills, ask for the right, or reserve the right to call you back if there's any changes, major, anything that comes into our focus, that we can come back and discuss it, and certainly let our community know what needs to be done collectively, individually, and so forth. Is that something I can ask of each of you?
Absolutely. And I would say we would want to do that. And there's a number of bills that after our session has ended, that we may want to do a postmortem on. Let's see, what did it really mean? Know how it started out, but what passed, and how is that really going to affect us? So, I always say the best defense is a good offense.
That's right.
So
because as quickly as this session ends, another one will commence.
Absolutely.
So we got to be ready.
Got it. I was going to ask Miss Gloria to go over there and play me a song on the piano, but
I wish I could, but we don't have enough time. Next time, baby.
Next time. So thank you, Andrea.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And until next time. Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Evidently You're Unaware. Remember, it is no longer safe or acceptable to live in ignorance. There are decisions being made, and we too have decisions to make as well that impact our lives and the lives of other people. There is a tendency to believe that all that matters happens only at the federal level. However, you'd be wrong. Local and state legislatures have tremendous impact on our lives, if not more than what is happening on the federal level. So the content shared here today is to remind you that today's elections matter. They require a different kind of voter. Today's voters must be engaged and educated on every level in every election. It is no longer safe to just say we vote. Our vote matters, but who is granted our vote is essential to the lifeline of our democracy. Be sure, inbox me at Andrea at strategicblueprint.info. Follow me at Andrea at thesuccessfuldiva.bsky.social and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Evidently You're Unaware.
Evidently, You're Unaware is a platform dedicated to shining light upon various issues, topics, circumstances, and people who influence our lives. The information provided should not be considered advice for legal, health, investments, or the endorsement of an individual or group. Neither the host nor the guest of Evidently You're Unaware is responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from using the information shared within this podcast. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Evidently, You're Unaware.